John, can you grab my laundry in 30 minutes and just put it in the IKEA bag and bring it back in here? You don't have to fold it or anything.
All right. Dirty Sports episode 1, or no, it's the time. Dirty Sports episode 824 live on YouTube in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Show Prano.
Hello, Andrew.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, it's morning here still. Good morning. I don't know where in the world I am at this point. I don't know what's going on. I'm delusional. Eddie Ift made me drive 18 consecutive hours back from Denver without sleep so that he could get home to his children on Easter Sunday.
Oh, wow.
It made me so unhappy that we didn't just stay in a hotel and start early in the morning that I considered showing up to the Easter party that Eddie made us stop at on the way home and telling all the children that the Easter bunny was not real. And that if it was real, it was now not real because I murdered it. But I didn't do that. I held my tongue. And I'm a bit car lagged. So
why were you the one who had to drive?
Well, no, we drove.
Oh, okay.
We drove, but we drove without stopping. We left the show Saturday night. Shout out to all the dirtballs who came out to the show on Saturday night and drove directly from post show to Malibu.
So you drove from Denver to Malibu?
Yeah.
18 hours.
Yeah.
That's a stretch, man.
Yeah. So shout out to Kyle Aronofsky, who had a beer in the green room right before I ejected and went back to Malibu. Shout out to all the dirtballs who made it out to Denver, especially those of you who love to say hello, say you're a dirtball, and I'll say, hang out after the show, get a picture, and then you wave goodbye as you leave. there's always the classic dirtball move. Shout out to Mason and the North Dakota crew, who, guys, I'll be shipping your Vail souvenirs back to you later today. Shout out to Jack, who made it to 3 shows in Steamboat and 2 in Denver. I mean,
super fan.
He's got to be able to do my act at this point.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm glad you made it back. I was busy dressed as the Easter Bunny being harassed violently, if I might not add, by children.
Were they just assaulting you?
Yes. Assaulting me. I got one uppercut to the nuts. I mean, I take the time to dress as the Easter Bunny. It's uncomfortable. I can barely see. And this is how I'm repaid.
Why are they assaulting the Easter Bunny? Doesn't the Easter Bunny bring candy and like Jesus back from the dead or something?
The Easter Bunny brings too much candy.
Too much candy. It also digs the hole that our Savior escapes out of, right?
Well,
I don't know. I actually don't know the connection between the fictional Easter Bunny and the fictional Jesus character, but I know there's got to be a link, right?
I don't think so. I just know that even the children who are so sweet normally decided, hey, I'm going to take my basket and whack the Easter Bunny. And eventually the Easter Bunny was beheaded. I don't know what you want to call it. I was told to bend over, and I was tricked by a soon to be 6-year-old girl who ripped off the Easter Bunny's head. And I took off around the yard acting like, for dramatic effect. And the Easter Bunny's head ended up high in a tree in the backyard. I mean, it was like murdering Caesar,
Yeah. Are these kids just all hopped up on chili? Like, what's going on in Cincinnati?
Sugar.
And where are their parents during all this?
Well, it's a good question. I think the parents are the instigators who want the Easter Bunny to take abuse. And by parents, I mean my brothers. The women do not engage in this. The brothers, I thought I'd be off in the clear this year because my brother Brad, who's the lead instigator, went somewhere with his family.
Got it.
So I was like, oh, he's not here. I'm going to be good. I don't have the lead instigator for the kids to abuse the Easter Bunny. Nope, I was wrong. I was just beaten, battered, and torn. And you know what, guys? I don't appreciate it, kids, because the Easter Bunny has feelings too.
Next year for you, Andy, I'm going to come and I'll don the Easter Bunny suit. Suddenly the Easter Bunny will be 8 inches taller and not related to anybody. So he will have no problem smacking children down.
Well,
smiting them in Jesus' name.
You know, and obviously it was mostly in good fun.
I'll be like, I ain't had any meat all Lent. I'm about to feast on human meat today.
My one little niece kept explaining how she knew it was me. She knew it was me. And then at one point I called Roscoe's name and she goes, how do you know that dog's name? And this was my response, which looking back on it, my brothers really laughed at. It was pretty ridiculous. I said,
the Easter Bunny knows all.
I said, all animals know each other. All animals know each other. Like I didn't put parameter on it. It's all animals know each other. So I knew his name, which is pretty vague, but I survived. Dude, this Easter stuff now with the kids, it's Halloween. Like,
yeah,
they get so much crap. We did an Easter egg hunt. My girlfriend made a basket for each kid on top of the hunt. My sister-in-law made a basket, which we didn't know, for each kid. It's like they left here with 2 already made Easter baskets full of candy on top of the eggs full of candy.
Yeah, I think what happened was Jesus was crucified, and then when he died and was in the cave, they went and they checked the cave and he was gone. And what happened is he became diabetes.
I think that's what happened.
And now he is just spreading his Jesusness throughout the world in the form of chocolate and candy.
Well, again, my little brother is a dentist. I thought, you know, this is not his holiday. He sees all these children running around with candy. I'm like, this dude, are you going to like wake up in the middle of the night and just get rid of all your kids' candy? I mean, his kids have never even, I don't think they've even had a soda before. Like he's not that like he lets them have sweets, but like when it comes to the soda and that stuff, he always says how bad it is for your teeth. Like that's way worse, I think, than candy. But it's just so funny to me. But you're right. These kids out now, and it's not just like, it's not, because I was talking to my neighbors. It's not just my nephews and nieces. Apparently this is a thing now. That's what she goes, the amount of candy these kids get.
Yeah.
Whether it's Christmas or Halloween. Anyway, my message is stop giving all these kids candy. And I'm part of the problem. So who am I? Who might even say that? Anyway, good start for the show, Joe.
Yeah. Good start for the show. By the way, I reached out for some comment on, you know, the state of Easter. And I was like, well, what if we like just remove the candy? And, Phil Castellini made a good point. He's like, what are these kids going to do? Where are they going to go? What if you stop giving them candy? He's like, yeah, that's a good point. What are they going to do? They're going to go to some other family for candy? No, they're just going to have less candy. And I was like, I think that's the way we got to handle this, Phil.
I like it. I like how you're segueing into a little baseball, a little Phil Castellini. And for anyone keeping track, since Phil Castellini said, where are they going to go? The Reds have lost every single game.
I mean, talk about the Ruther curse is strong, but the Castellini curse is doubly strong.
Oh, you know what we never talked about last week when we were talking about that situation with the Reds? We kind of failed to mention from the player's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine being a member on that roster? And
can you imagine being this Hunter Green kid who comes up and throws more 100-mile-an-hour fastballs than anyone's ever thrown in a game? And he's like, oh, cool. Where am I going to get traded eventually?
Yeah. It is wild, though, if you're a member on that team on opening day, the owner's kid, again, COO of the team, says that. You're like, if you're Joey Votto, you're saying, cool, dude, you really want no one to come to see us this year. You're basically saying, I give 0 fucks about the actual players. And again, they're not just losing. The Reds have lost 6 in a row. Speaking of Joey Votto, I forget. He struck out in that Dodgers series, I think like 12 or 15 times. Like they are playing terrible. And Hunter Green, like you said, LA kid, he's heralded as like the next big thing. But dear God, all that means is that they're going to lose games closer when he pitches.
Yeah.
Like there'll be more in games. And
exciting.
I hate to say this, but I will say this. Again, I like a lot of the players, but I kind of hope they lose every single game. Like,
dude, I've been there. I was there.
Right.
That was my whole Carmelo Anthony with the Knicks
right
era. Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where it's like, I want just because if the Reds, let's say the Reds lose 100 games, and I don't think they will, like 100. I don't think people realize how hard it is to lose 100 games. It's really hard. But let's say that happens, then I think change then can actually happen, right? You can be forced, or the turn ownership is forced to make a move, whatever it is. I think that's the only way it happens. If a team absolutely hits the bottom.
Yeah. Well, where are the Reds at now? 2-8. I mean, you lose 100 games. If you go 2-8, you lose 100 games pretty quickly at that pace.
True. But it doesn't help when you start with a West Coast, you go Dodgers, then they go Padres. Like they're starting out the gates with some tough series. But so I'm looking at this dude like everything. Is that your brother?
Unbelievable. I cannot wait to have my own space again.
When are you leaving for New York?
I leave for New York Wednesday night, red eye out Wednesday night, and I will be house/dog sitting in Westchester for 2 full weeks. Just me, 3-4 bedrooms, 1 dog, multiple internet connections, multiple televisions. It's great. We might do a podcast from a different room each day from Gabby's house.
I like it. Oh, so you're staying at your sister's house?
Yeah.
I just pulled it up. Here's some quick hitters. Joey Votto's batted 34 times this year. He struck out 15 times and hasn't homered. He's hitting 118. I mean, dude, the Castellini curse is strong. I do want to read something real quick before we move to some other baseball stuff. I find myself agreeing with what's the agent? Scott Boras?
Yeah.
He had an interesting comment about like these small market teams. And where is it? I gotta find this because he commented because he represents Nick Castellanos, and he said that he personally called the Reds owner when the negotiations started because he said Castellanos actually had interest in returning, like he really liked it. So, anyway, Boras says, I called him. We had a good conversation, this and that. But I kind of like what he said in that he brings up the Milwaukee Brewers, which we've said, and this is almost kind of like what we said, is that you got to retain some of the stars to get people in seats. And I think you'd agree. And this is what he says. He's talking about the Brewers. And by the way, the Reds, Cincinnati is a bigger city than Milwaukee. Also, the Brewers TV deal is less than the Reds. So right there, bigger city, they make less money. And he talks about the Brewers. This is what Scott Boras said. He said they draw 3 million fans. Why? Because I think they sign some of their core players and they give fans an expectation that we're going to be, where we have a potential to compete. It's not every year, again, which I agree. I don't expect the Reds to compete every year, but he goes on to say, if not every year, a good 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. And I think if you do that for your fan base and you use that as a model, you're going to continue to be rewarded by the fans. And that's exactly where I stand. Dude, be competitive 6, 7 out of 10 years. But you can't just suck year after year.
I mean, the Brewers have been more competitive towards, being a World Series contender than the Reds have since you went to the game with your dad and fucking Chris Sabo was playing. Like, when's the last time the Reds played in an NLCS?
Well, they haven't. I don't think they've done that since '95.
95.
Yeah, 1995. The 2012 team, which had the second best record, they were a legit World Series contender. The one who was up 2-0 on the Giants and then lost 3 straight games at home.
Right.
But that was the opening round of the playoffs. Like that was a legit. That was like the last legit. Hey, this team can do damage. But you're right. I think the last NLCS was 1995.
Yeah, that's insanity.
Yeah. So yeah, and again, this is a baseball-wide problem, but it just goes to show you can be, again, competitive, and we're not expecting that every year, but you can't just suck for 20 years at a time. You just can't. I don't know what that's going to do. Now your Mets are starting off pretty well. First place, the most wins in the NL, tied with the Dodgers and the Giants, who they take on this week. I'll be at the game on Thursday day game. I've got the red eye out Wednesday night, going directly from airport to ballpark. First stop in New York, Citi Field, to go support the first place Mets. Andy, listen, I know where you're at right now with ownership. I lived there. That was home for me. I had a room in the shitty owner's hotel when it came to my baseball team for, the majority of my life. We're now in year 2 of the Steve Cohen experiment. And it's the absolute opposite side of the coin. And you can just see it. Like, I mean, Mets fans are essentially experiencing year 1 was obviously getting to know what the situation was for him. And year 2 is being like, I'm going to be a good owner. The opening day at Citi Field here, they unveil the Tom Seaver statue, which, obviously probably the greatest Met of all time at this point. Also played for your Reds, and a Hall of Famer. Should have had a statue forever ago. Yeah.
But we had shitty ownership who couldn't afford that much of bronze, So opening day in his first truly full season, he unveils a statue. There's all this talk that they have a team of 13 analytics guys. They have Buck Showalter and sort of an old school manager who's doing a great job. And it costs them money. The roster costs them money. The statue costs them money. The analytics teams cost them money. But the owner wants to win. Straight up. Goal number 1. He said when he came in, I don't care if I lose money on this baseball team, I will win. And it's like, that's what being a sports owner should be. If try to win, and if you find that you can't simultaneously win and make money, then get out. Try to make money. And if you can't simultaneously make money and win, then get out, because there's a lot of people out there. And we've seen it with these big money guys in the modern era. I mean, Mark Cuban came in and turned around the Mavericks. The Mavericks were a punchline in the NBA, and the Mavericks have been contenders in, at least in a loose definition, essentially since he took over the team.
Yeah.
A-Rod was on, I believe, Sunday Night Baseball or whatever, or just doing an analyst segment.
Well, he does the Peyton Manning or the Manning cast version.
Right. He said the Mets will win 2 championships in the next 10 years.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I believe him. As a beaten and battered Mets fan, I've been look at what is going on. They went out, they spent the money, and they're spending it across the board.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't know what the fine line is, but there has to be that fine line of you spend money, and then once you get enough of a return, you're not only going to spend money, you're going to make money, because the fans will repay you, play on words,
still
with their money.
But also still tuning in to your regional sports network in August, in September, in October. People using clips from your regional sports network on the major networks come October for your, playoff run. The money you get for making the playoffs, the TV money you get for being in a World Series, all the things like we know that how to succeed in sports is to win.
Sure.
And the idea that there are guys who are like, yes, we can make more money if we win, but we have the potential of losing less money if we just try to exist without competing.
So I got a crazy idea.
It's shameful.
I got a crazy idea I just thought of. If you live in a city where your stadium was funded by the taxpayers, doesn't matter the sport, baseball, basketball, football, it's normally
which is essentially all of them.
You should be able to. You should be treated like a shareholder, like a stockholder. You should be able to vote out an owner. If you had lived there for, you know how what do they call them? The recall.
Yeah.
When they have recall elections, like in California, where it's more prevalent, why can't you do that with an owner? If so many taxpayers paid for it, and again, it wouldn't be like every couple years. It has to be something substantial, because people are quick to get rid of stuff if they have one or bad or two or three losing seasons. No, I'm not talking about that, guys. But I'm saying if you have the same owner consistently for, let's just say, 10 straight years, there should be a rule. Oh, we paid for this stadium. We should be able to oust this owner, because I am technically a funder of that stadium. Correct?
Yep. I agree.
Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Give the power to the people. Now, I know that would never happen on any level, but you'd love to see it. It's a crazy idea. It'd be good.
I'm 100% into it.
Did you see the intentional walk
to Seager?
Corey Seager?
Yeah, I did. I didn't see it like in the moment, and I watched it again. I didn't really understand it that much. But,
I don't either. That's why I'm asking.
But in the end, it kind of worked, because I would say it kind of worked in that I think the Rangers still went on to score maybe 3 runs that inning, post walk. But the Angels did win that game in sort of a firefight. It was a high scoring game. I think the thinking, much like the Bonds walk with the bases loaded, and now Seager is not Barry Bonds, not prime HGH Barry Bonds, but we are in a situation here where this inning can easily get out of control and cost us the entire game. So let's give them a run right here instead of potentially giving them 2 or 3 or even 4 in just this at bat.
But to me, this is when analytics have gone wrong.
Well,
I'm not anti-analytics, but again, we see it in football, and we really talked about it a lot, especially with the Chargers this year, where you analyze these stats and the numbers and the metrics too much. You're walking in a run. That's crazy to me. That is bonkers to me.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it in theory. I hated it given the situation. I believe at the time they were down 4-2, or they were down 3-2 and made it 4-2.
Correct.
If they were up 6-3, I don't hate it. If they're up 6-3, I kind of like it. You know what I mean? You're like, well, I'm not going to give this guy a chance to make this game 7-6. So
it's 3-2. It's bottom of the 4th. Well, let me just play the audio. Let me see if we have any more context here.
The launch angle on Trout was 23 degrees.
Mike Trout is pissed, by the way.
If I understand what just happened, an intentional walk granted to Seager with the bases loaded. That is Barry Bonds treatment.
Angels players are pissed.
Are you sure that? I wasn't watching.
Yeah. Joe came out, talked to his pitcher, pointed to first, and Seager granted first base. An intentional walk with the bases loaded brings.
So that's another thing, though. If you watch the video, Trout's pissed, the players in the Angels. My point is, you're playing the analytics or whatever you're doing, but you're also not bringing in the human factor of guys saying, fuck my manager, man.
So the problem with the analytics of it all, right, is, and I don't know the specifics of this situation, but we're now in a league where you have to face X amount of batters as a pitcher, righty on lefty, all this stuff. So it's like, hey, what we would do in this situation in the old days is maybe bring in a lefty to face Seager and then immediately go back to a righty to, face the rest of the line. I like in this situation, it was a little weird, but when you if you dive deeper, I don't think it's that weird, especially given this is a Texas Rangers Anaheim Angels game that ended up, being 14-11 or whatever. Yeah. It worked.
Well, this is what it is. And this is what it reminds me.
And Joe Maddon has done this before. And Joe Maddon has done this in almost like the pre-analytics era.
So if I go off the rails with my eating, and by the way, we have a great call later about this. Wild call about Captain Kook, who had 5,000 calories in one sitting. It's wild. I'm looking forward to playing the call so everybody can hear how much he ate. Anyway, when I'm notorious for I'm all or nothing, right? This is kind of what it reminds me of. When I say I'm going off the rails and I'm just going to eat a bunch of bad food, whether it's sweets or fast food, I go 150%, right? It's not a junior bake. It's not like a Big Mac and fries and a shake. It's like I'm getting a million things.
Yeah.
To me, that's like the walk-in where you've said in the past, and probably rightly so, dude, if you're going off the rails with bad food, you don't have to go all in, which to me, that's what it is. Hey, the bases are loaded. You're kind of already fucked, but you're just going to go off the rails and walk the guy. I don't know. Again, Maddon's a good manager, and they won. But to me, that's my version of just analytics gone awry.
I mean, Maddon says just trying to stay out of a big blow, which I think we all figured was the reason, and also just trying to stir the group up, quite frankly. That's something you don't normally do. I thought just by going out there and doing something like that, the team might respond. Simple as that. Just Seager's that good. So I know it's early in the game, but I thought it could have changed the momentum of the game. I thought that was the right thing to do in that moment for us. The thing about Joe Maddon is he is an analytics guy, but he'll also do shit with that kind of reasoning where he's playing a little head games with his own guys. I wouldn't recommend, who's our guy from the Chargers that fucking lived and died by his insanity.
Yeah.
Staley. Yeah. I wouldn't go full Brandon Staley, but in the moment, if you're Joe Maddon and you're going to pull one, it's a 162 game season. You're going to play little fucking wild card moves, once every couple weeks, keep your guys on their toes, show them that you're, thinking outside the box. I'm into it. Well, I like it. I approve of this Joe Maddon move.
Here's a callback.
And again, it worked out. Okay.
Wild move. Maddon managing the Angels. Naked Gun, Leslie Nielsen. The Angels were playing. That's something you'd see in Naked Gun. The wild move with the manager, with the ump, whatever he's playing. Am I really stretching this one? Maybe. I'm just saying, is Leslie Nielsen actually John Maddon? John Maddon.
Boom. I'm managing the Angels.
With OJ Simpson as one of the bench coaches, because we all know OJ likes to visit his grave.
I like it when Andy tries to Mad Lib himself a title for the show.
No, I wasn't trying to do that. We're not there yet.
Joe Maddon is John Maddon is Leslie Nielsen? Question mark.
That's like a Black Sports Online title.
Yeah. Tough acting, Tenactin. Boom.
You probably didn't get a chance to watch too much NBA when you were stuck in a car for 18 hours.
I was in and out of sleep in the passenger seat, but I did tune into moments of the NBA via my Wi-Fi, via my phone connection in the car. So I saw bits and pieces here and there of a great opening weekend of basketball, and I watched a lot on Saturday during the day, and then watched a little bit Sunday via the phone.
Wild Nets Celtics game, huh?
Yeah, and that is exactly how I see this series playing out. I think it's going to be tight. I think we'll have a lot of close games at the end. I hate to say it, because it may seem like I told you so, but essentially that's a back and forth game that is both teams to have at the end, and is the final Nets possession before the Jason Tatum game winner is undone by Kyrie Irving just dribbling around for 14 seconds while being double teamed. There's a lot of talk, and here's something I've noticed. This is Kyrie Irving is certainly like the new Carmelo Anthony, or like the Lamar Jackson of the NFL, of the NBA, where people love his skill set so much that they absolutely refuse to talk about him in a way that's honest, which is his skills. And people keep calling him the most skilled player of all time, which is insane, first of all. But
I don't even know what that means when people say that.
Well, people love to use skill, and essentially it only, the way I see the internet talk about it, it essentially only relates to handle and shooting. Like passing is a skill, rebounding is a skill, playing defense is a skill. But for some reason, this quote unquote Kobe was the most skilled and Kyrie is the most skilled. It has to do with only footwork, handle, and jump shooting ability and finishing at the rim, I guess. So that's why it is lunacy, because the guy has the ball, and what did all that ball handling skill get him in that final possession? An emergency dump off to Kevin Durant, probably the most elite scorer of the basketball that we've ever seen in NBA history, to get a frantic contested shot.
Well, Kyrie did have a hell of a game.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And Durant had an off game.
Sure. And they're but what does that mean? Where does that leave them? Down 1-0. Because the guy who had a big game, I mean, I shit on Michael Jordan on this show plenty. I wouldn't even say I shit on him. I'm more of a Jordan truther than I am a Jordan hater. But we've seen the Paxson shot. We saw the Paxson game in the Lakers series. We saw the Kerr shot. We've seen the BJ Armstrong. Jordan deferred in moments where he needed to. And you get Kyrie Irving frantically showing off his handle and then getting the ball to Kevin Durant 30 feet from the basket with absolutely no chance to make a play.
I think that would have been a backbreaking loss for Boston.
Yeah.
Especially when you have four guys score 20 or more. You can't lose a game when you have four players. When you have the balanced scoring like that, and you're at home, and it's game one, not that the series would have been over. No way. But I'm just saying that emotionally, if you lose that game, I think it could have ramifications for the rest of that series. But the same token.
And yeah. And it's these 2-7 series that are going to be the most, clearly the most exciting of the first round.
Well, the T-Wolves are surprising a lot of people.
Yeah. but it's early. It's game one. They have the momentum of the big win in the play-in game. They, have a shocker in game one, but I saw a lot of commentary around that game that like, oh, Memphis had a great year, but the playoffs are different. This is different. And I'm just going to say, like, definitely tap the brake. This is going to be a series. Like, tap the brakes on, this Memphis team not being able to handle playoff basketball. And they may not play in the NBA finals. And as a 2 seed, you're sort of expected at least to go to the conference finals. They may not play in the conference finals, but they're a young team that is going to be sticking around for a long time. And yeah, they're going to take their playoff lumps, but like, I'm almost still predicting them to win this series.
Yeah. Well, it is one game and you got to win 4, especially as a road team. It's not easy, but obviously that's going to be a series. Like you said, there's 2 7 series are going to be good. The other home teams were holding court. A lot lower scoring game in Chicago, Milwaukee.
Yeah, and my NBA playoff zigzag theory is already off to a fairly hot start. We didn't talk about it prior to the playoff starting because we didn't know exactly who was going to be seated where, but and also we did have some weird lines going into the games because the Mavericks were actually, or the Jazz were actually favored in that game against the Mavericks, even though they were the road team because Luka was out.
Everything
I stayed away from the 76ers Raptors series because I think this 76ers team is absolutely built to like beat shittier competition, and then we'll see how they fare against better competition. So I stayed away from that, but you get a Warriors big win. That hurt me in the zigzag theory. Otherwise, Jazz, Timberwolves, good. And then you had, a Heat blowout. The Nets keep it close. The Bulls keep it close. And then the Suns blow it out. I think you'll see in the NBA, my playoff zigzag theory, like I think the Raptors, after like a blowout in game one, we'll probably play them close in game two. Utah still favored by 5 points on the road without Luka, but I think the Mavericks will probably cover that. The Nuggets will probably cover a 7-point spread in game two. Like I will, if you didn't get involved in game one, definitely get involved in game two. Whichever team covered, I'd almost go the other way. Hawks Heat, I think, the Heat are pretty good, but I think the Hawks probably play that 7 close. Timberwolves, Grizzlies. I don't know if Memphis covers a 7-point, but and I don't know if the Pelicans cover 9.5. But for those first 4 games, Raptors, Sixers, Jazz, Mavericks, Nuggets, Warriors, Hawks, Heat. I think I'm on board with the zigzag. Nets, Celtics, Boston -3.5. That'll be a tough one. I'll look at that before Tuesday. See how that line moves.
I feel like Chris Paul hit a great game. I forget the stat. He's only one of 5 guys to have, I think, 30 points and what was it? 10 assists. The amount of times he's had in the playoffs. I feel like he's still under career-wise. We're talking about career-wise. I feel like he's undervalued.
Undervalued or underrated? He's valued pretty high. They give him he's made a lot of money.
Underrated, I should say.
Yeah. I think when people talk about greatest point guards of all time, he isn't mentioned that often, and I don't think he is the greatest point guard of all time, and he's probably not in the top couple, but he's right outside the top few. And I would argue kind of to my death that, in comparison to a guy like Steph Curry's not really a point guard. If in my top point guards of all time list, I would have Chris Paul above Steph Curry. Even though on my greatest players of all time list, I have Steph Curry above Chris Paul. Because you can call it whatever you want. You can title him whatever you want, but he's not bringing the ball up and facilitating their offense like Chris Paul is.
Well, exactly. He's not a true point guard, But if you were going to have a list of true point guards that you're drafting, where do you put Chris Paul? Magic Johnson or Oscar Robertson are probably going to be who was number one, I'd assume. You might just say LeBron if you're going to say he's the facilitator.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if we're not doing that, which is fine.
Take LeBron out. I want to take LeBron out.
Yeah.
Let's remove LeBron. I'd go Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
With my number one.
I would as well.
And then who do you go after that? I'm talking point guards.
I mean, I am not
true point guards.
Right. I'm not a big, I'm not old enough to have been deep in the Oscar Robertson era. So to me, in my lifetime, the guys on that list are Magic Johnson, John Stockton, Isaiah Thomas, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul.
Yeah, it's a good list.
That's probably my guys. Lillard's not on that list for me in terms of true point guards. Kyrie, not that he would be in the conversation, isn't on that list in terms of true point guards. Allen Iverson isn't, to me, on that list of true point guards. I'm talking about
I agree.
Guys who facilitate first. Magic Johnson, John Stockton, Chris Paul, Isaiah Thomas, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
I and honestly, at this point, with what Chris Paul has done, he might be 4 for me.
Sure. That's what I'm saying. He's up there. If we're talking your traditional point guard. But he can also score.
Yeah. And so could Isaiah. And so could Steve Nash. And so
I agree. All those guys. That's what I'm saying is I think we get lost. I also agree with you when you say Damian Lillard or Allen Iverson or none of those guys are traditional point guards.
No.
Have you been watching Winning Time? Speaking of Magic Johnson.
So I literally just got home last night. Started. I believe, was it episode 7 that aired last night?
Correct.
So I'm midway through. It's literally on the screen pause right now. I'm midway through episode 6.
I want to say this about the last 2 episodes. I'm not going to give anything away. And I think the book, it's affecting me. Because I love the book. And I'm not just saying this because we're supposed to have Jeff Perlman on next week, author of the book. I mean, the book is so much better. I'm not just saying this. And I know that's the cliche thing to say. And I know they're different mediums but the book is so, you have the ability to be in depth, the context. And this is what I'm going to say. The book is so good. It's making me like the show less and less. I'm halfway done with the book. I'm 230 pages into the book and It reads easy. It's one of those, boom, 5 pages here. I'm sitting on the toilet, 5 pages there. Oh,
I look forward to you telling Jeff next week that you mostly enjoy his work on the toilet.
Okay. Yeah. I'm saying, it's an easy read. You were having some tech issues before the show and I just sat there with the book because I can go through it. And I think it's so good that the TV show for me, I've really struggled the last 2 weeks. Really struggled because 6 and 7.
Episode 6 is I'm halfway through, but I'm enjoying it. And actually, my thing, because I haven't read the book, the 2 big question marks I have. Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure, and you can tell me because you're reading the book, but I'm pretty sure when Jerry West left being the coach of the Lakers, he might have been loosely involved, but he wasn't fully involved. He came back later on as a scout. But when if you're watching this as somebody who doesn't know the team, you're like, well, and the coach gets hurt. You're like, well, why don't they just bring back Jerry West? He was essentially gone, wasn't he?
Well, here's the crazy thing. He was introduced at a press conference and everybody was like, what the hell? Jerry Buss introduced 2 coaches. They were going to co-head coach him and Pat Riley. One was going to do offense and one was going to do defense.
The Pat Riley and
Jerry West
in the next season.
Yeah. So it was when they fired Paul Westhead.
Right.
And they're doing this press conference. It was a surprise. He's like, well, Jerry and Pat are going to handle it. And they were like, what? And Jerry was like, I want no part of this. And basically Pat, they just started winning instantly with Pat Riley. And Pat Riley went back to the McKinney offense.
Right.
Like 100%, which Paul Westhead, after they won the title, tried to implement his own offense, which obviously fell off the rails. The Lakers don't win the title the next year. So West was involved. And I will say, reading the book, it shares a lot of elements of he was kind of a lunatic. Now, everyone says and we've talked about it, and everybody within the Lakers said the TV show doesn't do him right. Now, the book, definitely they're taking creative liberty with the TV show. But if you read the book, you say, well, he kind of was a lunatic.
Well, and that's something everybody's known. Like he's major open battle with like severe depression. The show touches on his relationship with his dad, which he's like always kind of come out. But I think the thing in the show that people were upset about is like how volatile he was. And he, is sort of famously more of a quiet struggle, like one of those guys like that. There's the part in the episode, in one of the early episodes, where he's just in his house in the dark. And they're like, that's sort of more true to who Jerry West was than a guy who's throwing a trophy through a window.
Yeah. Well, he was so crazy, and you'll kind of see this in this episode later, and they don't do it exactly like the book. But when he became the GM, which I think is around like the 82 or 83 season, because he was still always loosely involved.
Right.
Obviously the co-head coach and then all this. He couldn't be in the arena during the games because it was too much for him.
Yeah.
So he would drive around the forum and listen on the radio. And you'll see later, this isn't that big of a giveaway, in episode 7, where he's sitting in a limo in Boston listening. Like he couldn't go to the Garden. And obviously this sounds like it was all made up, but I think they're taking from the book where it's saying he would drive around because he was such kind of off the rail type of guy.
Now here's a question for you in regards to episode 6. Did Magic have an offer from Nike? Is that in the book?
They don't mention that yet.
Right. Yeah. Because that seemed out of place a little bit.
I thought it was very out of place.
Phil Knight just strolling up. Hey, I'm Phil Knight.
That's a fascinating history too, by the way.
Yeah.
How young Nike really is.
Yeah.
And how he'd be worth billions of dollars like Michael Jordan had he taken that Nike deal.
Which I was like, I never even knew that was a thing. But
you never knew what was a thing.
That Magic may or may not have passed on a Nike deal.
I'm assuming, again, the book does not mention it, and we're past that stage of his career where I'm at in the book. So I assume it didn't happen. Maybe it did.
Yeah.
Obviously, Magic Johnson is worth, I think, like $400 or $500 million regardless. So I don't know. But you know what I love about the book, man? It doesn't hold back. And obviously, we'll talk about this next week when we have Jeff on. But like, when it came to the partying and the drugs and the girls, I mean, Magic. There's quotes in there saying Magic he'd have, 3 girls in the morning, 3 girls before the game, everybody else talks about Wilt Chamberlain. But the thing about Magic was he never did any drugs. He never smoked cigarettes. He never drank alcohol. He didn't do any of the hard drugs. His thing was always girls and possibly guys. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. But I will say it does. You and I have
Andy dropping, man.
No, well, look, here's the deal. You and I have you actually are the leader of this argument on the heterosexual HIV stuff.
Yeah. It's hard to get AIDS. It's hard to get HIV from Vaginal intercourse.
Is that an Arsenio Hall?
I'm not. What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm just.
You will like the rest of that episode with how they handle the Boston Garden and the Boston fans and just how big a piece of shit they are.
Yeah. And now that's rearing its head in this Nets Celtics series. Kyrie Irving's, in leading up to the series, been talking about he hopes that Boston fans can just appreciate his contribution, his legacy there, which I'm not sure what that was. And then obviously, going at it with Boston fans who, talk about, I don't know what the wrestling equivalent of this is, but during the heyday of the WWE, when you had two heels who were competing for a title, you're like, wait, who am I supposed to root for in the, Razor Ramon, fucking Undertaker match? Like, who's the good guy here? That's probably not, there's probably WWE fans who are losing their minds. Like, Undertaker's a good guy. I don't know. My point is like Boston fans versus Kyrie Irving. How do you feel good about taking a side in this one?
I'm taking a side. I like the middle finger.
Okay.
You don't really see that. I like him giving the middle finger to a fan, and I'm not a Kyrie guy, of course.
Yeah.
But I like that. I wonder what'll be fined. Has it been announced yet?
I'm not sure that it has.
I do like the commentary too of Van Gundy. I think it was was it Van Gundy calling the game?
Yeah.
I like how they didn't ignore it, is what I'm saying. I feel like a lot of announcers would just ignore it. What was going on with the protester? Speaking of fans.
This is 2 games in a row in Minnesota, right? Or was that one the game one that was Memphis? So it was but it was Minnesota.
Yeah.
The first one, right? So it's 2 straight Minnesota games.
She tried to glue her hands to the court.
Yeah. And then somebody else attached themselves to the stanchion.
Tried to chain themselves.
Yeah. It's cool. The NBA, it's a global game. A lot of eyes on the NBA playoffs. If you're going to do your protest.
An animal rights activist?
I believe both were correct.
But it has something to do with Minnesota.
Right.
Did they do something?
I didn't dive too deep. I mean, I've read just the headlines. Why don't we pull this up here?
Yeah, I should have done more of a research on this. Chain self the top of the hoop. I'm just gonna say, why is every animal rights activist just ugly? Like, can we just
the Timberwolves owner, apparently. Yes. Glenn Taylor roasts animals alive is what her t-shirt said.
She's very, I mean, am I an asshole for saying that? I don't care.
What? Issue what?
Every like crazy animal rights activist is just, you're just a gross person. Like, come on, dude.
Has accused the owner of the Timberwolves of inhumane killing of 5.3 million chickens in a recent mass killing following an outbreak of bird flu in Taylor's Iowa egg factory. Taylor is in his last season as the team's owner. The NBA approved the $1.5 million deal that will net Alex Rodriguez and partner Mark Lohr, the Walmart CEO, a 20% minority share of the Timberwolves with chances to buy more stakes in the team in 2022 and beyond to make them the majority owners.
I'm just going to go nuclear. You know, if you're concerned, what are you eating? Because you don't look healthy, woman. I'm just going to say it. You don't look healthy at all. So what are you eating, animal rights activist? Your skin doesn't look healthy. You're a little large. What are you eating? Did you come over for Easter yesterday? Were you part of the diabetes bonanza here at the Ruther household? What is the end game of this person? What is the end game? I want to know.
Well, I think the end game, and dare I say she accomplished it.
We're talking about it.
We're talking about it. And I just looked it up and read out loud on the Dirty Sports podcast that the owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves, had a 5.3 million chicken mass murder, and
Allegedly.
she's bringing awareness to that.
You and I have been doing a lot of references lately, which no one's getting.
Yeah, it's fine.
I did watch the Corey Haim, Nicole Eggert sex scene.
Oh, you watched it. You didn't watch the whole movie though.
Bro, I ain't got time for that right now. So it was again sent by Hall of Fame dirtball Jesse Stenger, the
and Minnesota Timberwolves fan.
And Minnesota Timberwolves fan. Good call right there. It was 9 minutes because it was a montage of all the sex scenes.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, there's nothing like, she's hot and she's attractive, but like Corey Haim, it's weird because he's such like a little boy. Does that make sense? Like, it's a sex scene with a guy who's like 25, but he looks like he's 15. So I kind of felt a little uncomfortable because like he was taking her shirt off, and then when his shirt came off, like he looks like a 15-year-old twink, and I'm just like, this is like, he's trying to be the manly guy. It wasn't the best. I did get a text from Majid saying he had to go down an 80s rabbit hole and watch all these things as in these movies.
I think it was early 90s, but yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I would love, we need a Majid. We need an official Nacho Helmet correspondent Majid review of both Blown Aways simultaneously. That's like, I need the call where Michael Majid reviews both Blown Aways referenced on last show, compares them, contrasts them, and gives us a how many helmets full of nachos he gives both episodes, or maybe how full. He's like, I give Blown Away with Tommy Lee Jones a full helmet of nachos, and I give Blown Away with Corey Haim just half a helmet of nachos.
Yeah, just the jalapenos. I do wonder how many dirtballs went and watched that sex scene. Over under 10.
Over.
Like, you confidently say that?
I'm confident. I'm saying like anybody who knew Nicole Eggert was.
But even if they did.
Right. So I'm putting a couple of people who knew who she was at being like, oh, this was a thing. Then a couple of people who I reminded of it, like maybe some of our older, the dirt boomers, as I call them, who are like, oh yeah, remember that? Yeah, I just need a refresher on that. And then some people who are like, who the hell are any of these people that Joe and Andy are talking about? I must find out.
Sure.
What was Charles in Charge? And what do you mean one of the daughters of the second family on Charles in Charge got banged by one of the Coreys? Who are the Coreys? Just somebody that had their whole mind blown by the whole thing. Just truly blown away by all the things that they learned.
But I would say most, even younger dirtballs, will probably have seen Goonies.
Sure. And if you haven't, get yourself immediately.
Yeah. With Corey Feldman, he's in it. So
yeah.
He had a nice run for a while. And then Michael Jackson ruined it.
Yeah.
he was part of the like young boys that Michael Jackson was preying on, right?
Yeah. And he claims that, I think, even though he claims multiple, like that was his thing for a while, was claiming like he was sexually abused as a child actor in Hollywood. He claims Michael Jackson was not one of those people.
Wow. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, dude. But also, meanwhile, he like used to do a Michael Jackson like impersonation or whatever. It's like, talk about Stockholm syndrome.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I shouldn't laugh, but you just think of, I mean, who was in that Michael Jackson world? Him, Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
Wasn't Webster?
Yeah.
Who's got the stand-up that is it Chappelle or Cat Williams? He's putting Webster on his lap, and everybody thought it was normal. Webster was like Webster was like 30, and Michael Jackson had him on his lap like he was a 3-year-old. You know what I'm talking about?
Webster and Michael Jackson are the same age.
What the dude? What was going on? Wild times. Okay, I know we got a little bit of a time crunch. Let's hear from the Dirtballs. 310-359.
Oh, Andy, before we get to calls, I don't know. Did you see the breaking quarterback / golf news?
No. Oh, I did, but
the match.
Yeah, it's going to be. Go ahead.
It's going to be, I believe it's June 1st, and it's going to be Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen in Capital One's The Match, which honestly, besides the Manning cast, might be my favorite like modern sports production. I think they do an incredible job with the production. Now, let me ask you, Andy, who does one root for in this? Because I know you're a Brady fan. I know you're sort of a Rodgers fan, but I think that they're like almost being presented here as team villain to everybody, like, fan favorite sort of across the league, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, who, like you sort of feel bad for Mahomes at this point. He's got a little villain vibe because he's been in so many consecutive AFC Championship games. Plus, you have his sister and his brother and his wife who caused mayhem. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm sort of at the point. It's crazy, but I think I still root for Brady and Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm obviously, like you said, Josh Allen's kind of the universal.
Like, why couldn't it just why they should have just gone Josh Allen, Eli Manning, and then everybody would have been fine. We'd have been like, we all have somebody to root for here.
I'll be curious to see Josh Allen's golf game.
I think he's pretty good. He's supposedly pretty good.
I assume.
I bet you they're all like within a 5 or 6 stroke handicap range.
Well, I think personality wise, I'll be curious as well. I don't think Mahomes has that much of a personality. I mean, it's nothing against him.
No.
I haven't seen Josh Allen too much.
Yeah, there's certainly more like developed character personalities on the Brady Rodgers side. But at this point, I mean,
are his family going to be there? That's the question.
Who? Mahomes?
Yeah, is his fiance or wife, whatever she is, going to be screaming like Kermit?
Hopefully. I mean, hopefully the one thing that comes out of this match is Aaron Rodgers taking Patrick Mahomes to the side and being like, dude, take it from me. Just stop talking to your family entirely.
Yeah. Just
don't even act like they're there anymore. He's like, I just married her. She had my kid. He's like, listen, you want to listen to me or you not? I've been doing this a long time.
Put your brother on The Bachelor.
Yeah. Send your wife and your newborn child out of your life. And he's like, Aaron, this is like he's like, all right, well, listen. Or you can hang around with them, and see how it goes. But I think you should trade them immediately for a case of horse paste and just move on to a happy, healthy life.
Yeah, he hasn't won an MVP since they really came into the fold.
Because Rodgers has won both.
Mahomes played. Has he started 3 years now?
4.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the Dirtball calls. 310-359-8365. I teased it earlier, a 5,000 calorie sitting. Wait until you hear how much food was eaten.
What's up, Dirty Sports? It's all about spray. Long live Pizza Comedy. It's your boy, Captain Kook, a.k.a. Kookmeyer. Just wanted to call in and say I did a 15K Tough Mudder run, had a blast, crushed it, and was feeling pretty hungry. I may or may not have smoked prior to the run. It definitely helps with endurance and stuff. But anyways, feeling a little hungry afterwards, went to In-N-Out, got a 4x4, grilled onions, some well-done fries, an extra large Neapolitan shake, and was still feeling a little hungry. So I moseyed on over to McDonald's, and they've got that classic Big Mac pack deal. So I ordered that, and I crushed the whole thing. For those that are unaware, that is 2 Big Macs, 2 medium fries, 2 10-piece chicken nuggets,
What?
and to top it off, I had a Oreo McFlurry. So I had it at about all up, and it was about 5,000 calories in one sitting, which I thought was pretty good. I probably could have kept going, but I didn't want to be a glutton, you know. That'd be rude. So, anyways, I wanted to see what was your guys' largest single meal? Was it that Texas steak challenge, or do you guys got something a little bit more caloric than that to top it off? Say, Dirty Boys, condoms are for south winds ruining an otherwise fun little west-south swell combo.
I just want to repeat what he said he had. Okay. Let me just break it down. I'm gonna break this down. So I had to look it up. A 15K Tough Mudder. So it's a little over 9 miles, and obviously that's a lot. It's not just a race. I assume the Tough Mudder is way harder. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Than
it's
just
mud.
So 9+ miles of that. So he had 4 patties. Is that correct?
At In-N-Out.
With fries and a shake.
Yeah.
Then he went across the street to McDonald's and had 2 Big Macs,
Which I believe are 3 patties each. So we're at a total of 10 patties alone.
2 medium fries, 2 10-piece chicken McNuggets, and a McFlurry. Bro. That's impressive.
Yes.
I've never done that in quote unquote one sitting.
No.
Not
And
even close.
I think that's the thing. It's like when you ask me, I think my biggest meal is definitely the Big Texan. And that was because it also happened like within an hour. I'd like to see how many calories I've eaten, maybe over the course of I don't know, 3 hours at any given moment. Like, I think start to finish on maybe a Thanksgiving, you go pretty hard. You start out, you're eating apps, you're eating pasta. If you're an Italian family, then you're diving into all the stuff. Then you're going back then you're getting dessert. Then you're going back for leftovers, usually not long after. But for me, it was definitely the Big Texan in 1 hour. That's probably my biggest food haul.
I'm looking at this. I don't know if I could do this. Is just his second part. Even after, I'm thinking even after a marathon. 2 Big Macs, 20 chicken McNuggets, 2 medium fries, and a shake. That is a lot.
Yeah. Smoke them if you got them, Kookmeyer. Nice job.
Now, I thought in college at one point, I was obsessed for a while with the 2 tacos for 99 cents at Jack in the Box. That was my go-to drunk college food, along with the 99-cent chicken sandwich or 99-cent junior bacon cheeseburger. So I was hungover one Sunday.
Getting hungry.
I know. And I bought 20 Jack in the Box tacos for $10.
And how many of them did you eat?
I think I ate somewhere from 12 to 14. And as you know, those aren't small tacos.
No, I don't know because I can say with 100% certainty I've never eaten the tacos from Jack in the Box.
It's paste. It's paste with cheese and lettuce. It's pretty gnarly if you think about it. I put that junk in my system a lot. I do miss Jack in the Box, for the record. I think there's one around here. Jack in the Box is a wild place because you can get a cheeseburger, a chicken sandwich, and also tacos.
Yeah. And an ultimate breakfast sandwich.
Yeah.
And French fry, sticks, or no, sorry, French toast sticks. It's the wild.
Jack in the Box is like a stoner constructed menu. And you can say that about Taco Bell, but Jack in the Box is even wilder.
Yeah. Because they don't pick a lane.
They don't pick a lane. That's it.
They're like, what are you guys, a burger place? They're like, yeah, with tacos and breakfast.
And they do a breakfast burrito as well.
Yeah. They don't give a fuck.
I don't think I've come close to that, though.
No.
Massive props to Kookmeyer. You should have filmed it, man. What he ate that day is probably the equivalent of what
I didn't even know that the double Big Mac meal was a thing.
I didn't either. Is it? What's he talking about? That wasn't the challenge that people were trying to do for a while.
No, that we should pull up again because that's an interesting one.
There was more to that one.
Yeah, there was more to it, but it didn't start with a 4x4 with fries and a shake from In-N-Out. There's more McDonald's stuff on there. I still think I could do the McDonald's challenge.
But doesn't it have to be within an hour as well?
Yeah, that time crunch. That's the tough part. But I still think I could do it. I've put down some McDonald's in my day. I think I could do a Kookmeyer 8 from McDonald's in one sitting. But that's, not following an In-N-Out run.
Okay, the McDonald's challenge, it's 90 minutes or less. It's 4 double quarter pounders with cheese, 2 large fries. That's huge if they're large. 20 McNuggets. Oh, no way. 4 large Cokes. The Cokes will kill you. That's what it is. I couldn't do it.
The Cokes is definitely tough.
The Cokes will make it so hard. That's in 90 minutes. That'd be a tough one. Yeah, I could maybe do the Big Mac thing, especially if I had exercised. Yeah, I'm wrong. If I ran a marathon, for sure I could do that. Actually. All right, let's get to a non-food related call, but I am really getting hungry hearing that. Oh, here's an offer for a trip to Atlanta.
Ooh.
What up, Joe and Andy? It's your retired stripper DirtBall Bryson here calling from Atlanta. So I have some good news for you guys, and I don't know if you want to take up the offer, I guess is what I'm getting at. So July 11th and 12th, the Mets come into town. I have 3 tickets, so me, Joe, and Andy. If you would like, it's a Monday and Tuesday games, 7 o'clock. I know neither of you have been to the new Atlanta Braves Stadium. It's sponsored by Miller Lite, even better. So they only sell Miller Lite and Coors Light in the stadium. They don't sell any of the other shitty beers products. So it's only Miller and Coors Light in the stadium. You both have tickets with me. If you guys would like to fly out, I'm not a millionaire, so I can't afford your flights or hotels. But if it's a bucket list ballpark you'd love to see, there's a huge PBR bar right outside. There's like 30 bars right around the stadium. It's a good time. It'll be packed. It'll probably be sold out because, the Braves have been doing well lately. But I have 2 tickets for you guys, July 11th and July 12th. So if that's something you guys are willing to do, or if you can only fly in for one day, just let me know. Or maybe Joe, you can get some comedy clubs booked around here for the 11th and 12th. I'll buy some tickets, to support, bring some friends out. We can just have a good time. So just let me know if you guys want to. But you have tickets to July 11th and July 12th on me, Mr. Bryson. So you guys just let me know. Stay dirty, boys.
All right, so where are you at in the ballpark list? I just looked. I have been to 15 of the 30, but it's actually 14 because the Rangers just got a new park.
Right. Let me see my ballparks. Let me pull up my ballparks.
So if we want to be technical, I've only been to 14 of the current 30.
I have been to 17 of the current 30. So I have not been to Arizona, which is crazy. I got to get out to that. I'll have to go see Randy Ruther this year and check that one off the list. I haven't been to Arizona, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Miami, Atlanta, Washington, Pittsburgh. Another one I've got to check off the list ASAP. I've been to Toronto, but not for a baseball game. I've been in the Sky Dome for a U2 concert, but not a baseball game. So it remains on the list. Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, and yes, the new Rangers ballpark.
What is that? SunTrust? The new?
Yeah, I believe
Braves?
That's correct. Yeah. So I'm going through the rest of it because, yes, I've been to Yankees, Boston, and Baltimore. I've been to Chicago White Sox. I've been to Angels, Houston, Oakland, Seattle. I had the AL West locked up until Texas got their new ballpark. I've been to Mets and Phillies. I've been to St. Louis, Chicago, Cincinnati. I've been to Oh man, I have no full things. I've been to Dodgers, San Francisco, Colorado, San Diego, and just not Arizona. I've got to get the NL and AL West locked up this year, I think for sure. And then maybe lock up the NL East by doing an Atlanta. Start getting Atlanta off the list.
Yeah, my big thing is the East Coast. That's what
My big thing is the
Central.
the Centrals, the AL and NL Central. I've only got St. Louis, Chicago, Cincinnati. So I'm missing 2 from the NL Central, and I'm missing 4 from the AL Central. My Wests are just about locked up. I'll finish my West this year. Facts.
Yeah, Arizona's an easy one. I like it. It's bigger. It's now considered older, right? It's probably
I know I got to lock some of these up before they, refresh these ballparks again.
Sure.
Randy, give me a call.
I'm just picturing him making a cocktail in his pool.
I'm just picturing him dressed up like a rattlesnake to go to Diamondbacks games.
What did he dress up for the?
He dressed up as a cardinal, a religious cardinal for the Arizona Cardinals game. Yeah. So maybe he'll dress up as an old school 1980s Diamondback bike to go to the Arizona Diamondbacks game.
I would love that.
He's going to dress like one of the guys from Rad.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
That's a reference that if you guys haven't seen Rad, what are you doing with your lives?
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
What?
What is Rad?
Oh, my brother is Mikey's about to fucking call you on the phone, dude. You haven't seen Rad?
No, what's Rad?
It's a 80s movie about BMX biking.
Who's in it? Anybody we know?
Well, the person that you would know in it is Lori Loughlin.
Oh, yeah. Now known as the woman who paid to get her kids into USC.
Yeah. She should have just used some of
that Rad money.
Some of that Hell Track money. I can't believe you haven't seen Rad. I can guarantee you your brothers have seen Rad.
I guarantee it as well. So this is 80s.
Oh, yeah. Hard 80s.
80s.
You remember like that BMX explosion.
And skateboarding. I remember that both of those explosions.
Yeah.
My brothers were like huge into skateboarding.
Yeah.
All those different brands, and obviously Tony Hawk blew up and some of the other guys. All right. I know you got to get moving. 310-359-8365. Those will be the couple calls we do today. Drop us a call, question, comment on the hotline. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Dirty Sports. You can drop a podcast review on Apple. Leave your Twitter, Instagram handle for koozies, or rate and review. Subscribe on Spotify, please. Thank you.
You guys can come and see a show while I'm in New York. I got some shows lined up. They're all on my website, joepraner.com. Already put up the first couple of dates at my favorite club in all the world, The Stand NYC, the place where we recorded Joe Praner Takes the Stand. The new location, truly a great place. Come have dinner, come see a show. I think I'm doing at least one of the Frantic Monday shows, which is honestly maybe my favorite show. You see so many great comics. So if you're in New York, come out and see that. And then, I'll be on all social media at Joe Prano, except for Twitter, where I'm still at Fix Your Life. Once again, shout out to all the dirtballs who made it out in Steamboat, in Vail, in Denver. Thank you guys for supporting. It means a lot. So many of you guys made it out that I know I missed some of your names. I know I forgot. I didn't even get some of your names because you guys do the wave and then see you after the show and then never see me again. So shout out to those guys I didn't meet. If you're a dirtball and you come to a show, say hello. And that's it for me, Andy.
Cool. Much love to everybody for listening, watching, supporting, whatever you guys do. We always appreciate it. You guys have a great start to your week. And as always, stay dirty. Hold on.